2 divisions beneath La Liga, and hundreds of miles out to sea. One of Spain's biggest rivalries has resurfaced. This is Derby Days Mallorca. Tucked away deep in the Mediterranean Sea, Islas Baleares, or the Balearic Islands, is home to islands such as Ibiza, Formentera and Mallorca, alongside a all-day beaching, all-night partying, fiesta-loving, hedonistic way of life that has created one of the most popular tourist destinations on Earth. But scratch the surface here and look beyond the nightclubs and the luxury yacht-filled harbours, and you'll find a common love that they share with the rest of the world.
We've got to come live, but we love football. And there's football everywhere in this island.
They're obsessed with football on this island. It's like Brazil on this island with football.
All the kids, on all the schools, when they're kids, they play football. We've got really good players born here and they're playing all around the world.
Marco Asensio es mallorquín, incluso. Sí, sí, sí.
The Mallorquins are obsessed with football. Their culture is football.
There's more football culture here than in most of parts of Spain.
And it's because of this region's very much underrated love of the game that we find ourselves on its biggest island, Mallorca, for a fixture the capital city Palma has been waiting for nearly 4 decades.
I've seen some derbies before, but it's not a Liverpool-Everton. It's not a West Ham-Tottenham. This is the Palma derby. It's 2 teams from the same city that have very occasionally have been in the same league.
Now the Mallorca derby, it's very much a David versus Goliath story, but unlike similar rivalries, both sides don't deny it.
Everybody knows Mallorca, Baleares, who knows Baleares?
We are not so big like Real Mallorca.
Now the Goliath of this rivalry is without a doubt Real Club Deportivo Mallorca, the oldest and biggest club on the islands. They're a proudly Spanish institution who were originally named after the king.
No hay una institución, no hay ningún club, no hay ningún cantante que haya venido a Mallorca y haya metido más gente que la que mete el club de fútbol en los partidos.
I am today 45 years married, and I don't know if I love more my wife, or I love more the stadium. So I am Mallorca, everything.
But just because they're the big guys in this narrative, it doesn't mean that they've always had it easy.
Mallorca's history is like a roller coaster.
For many years, Mallorca have been a yo-yo team.
When Mallorca have no money,
The Mallorca players were the first in the history that they strike for their salaries.
they sleep on the stadium.
Mallorca have played more games in second division than in first division.
I started in second division and I thought that was great.
But in the late 90s, after properly establishing themselves in La Liga, that all changed. And boy, did that change.
And then when we went to first division,
Y el Mallorca empezó a ir para arriba de una manera espectacular.
we started winning Real Madrid and Barcelona when they come to play here. I knew we were going to win. How much are we going to win?
First there was 99.
Oh, explosion of football.
Birmingham 1999 is the only European final in Mallorca's history.
One thing impossible to believe in my heart.
Todos los balcones estarían con la bandera del Mallorca.
I used to go to this stadium and it was full, people were shouting. That was the best part of the week.
Then there was 2001.
We're going to play the Champions League.
Beat Arsenal.
Yeah. We know we were going to win.
One dream, like a dream, you know.
The feeling we had, it was supremacy.
And then there was 2003.
The biggest one.
En 2003 el Mallorca por fin consigue el primer título.
I cried for a day.
Realmente fueron 2 días de celebración, 20.000, 30.000, 40.000 personas en la calle.
Then the international press and the national press, Mallorca.
Cuando el Mallorca ha jugado contra el Ajax de Ámsterdam, contra el Arsenal, contra el Manchester United, está saliendo el nombre de Mallorca, una pequeña isla del Mediterráneo.
How possible Mallorca play in Russia, Sparta de Moscú?
Entonces, como orgullo regional, con esa identidad nacional de Mallorca, la gente lo quiere mucho al equipo.
All whilst featuring some of the biggest names on and off the pitch.
Cooper, he made Mallorca very important.
Eto'o es el icono del Real Mallorca.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Goat.
Go.
We was in love with him. He was a beautiful boy.
You even say it in Spanish.
Yeah. No, we don't say it, but it's a goat.
Eto'o era el rey de la isla.
Samuel Eto'o lived in your house.
Yes. 8 days. When you ask to Eto'o, who is your best friend in Mallorca? He said, Tony Tacha. It's me.
Cuando pasamos a la final, Samuel Eto'o se vuelve loco y dice que paga una paella para 15.000 personas, para todos. Entonces traen paelleras. Sí, impresionante. Todo el mundo comiendo paella de Samuel Eto'o.
We are this island in the corner of Spain and we're in the Mediterranean. No one cares about us and suddenly we are the kings of Europe. It makes us very proud. Very, very proud.
But whilst Real Mallorca traversed the continent, becoming this rising red and black shining star of the Balearics and possibly even Spain, only 6 minutes drive away and 3 tiers down the Spanish football pyramid, the David of this rivalry, Club Atlético Baleares, plodded along, at times more like stumbled along, down in Spain's 4th division.
The average English holidaymaker who comes here or German holiday, I've never heard of Atletico Baleares, which is sad.
Have you been in La Liga?
No.
Copa del Rey?
Como mucho, third, fourth round.
They only won the first match at home last week.
La historia del Atlético Baleares es algo como legendario, ¿no? Nunca ganas.
Miedo yo.
Está moribundo.
Con esto.
Muerto clínicamente.
No le temo a nada.
Sobrevive. En otras ciudades, clubes como el Baleares ha desaparecido. En cambio, el Baleares, milagrosamente, durante un siglo ha resistido. Esa es la gracia que tiene el aficionado balearico.
In fact, things got so bad here that at one stage, only a few years after Real Mallorca won the Copa del Rey, Baleares were relegated to the 5th division.
Fue muy doloroso, el club estuvo a punto de desaparecer.
And then they were kicked out of their stadium.
Well, it got condemned. It was old. It was like a Roman theatre old and it was decaying. It was a shithole, but it was amazing.
Piensa que un club sin dinero,
Sobrevive.
prácticamente sin equipo
Sobrevive.
y sin campo donde jugar.
Es un superviviente.
Now they are repairing, they find an architect. Next year we will play in our stadium, back to our house.
But as what often happens when your club rarely experiences success, Balearicos are a set of fans where they don't really care about winning.
In Atlético Baleares, that doesn't matter what's happened. If you are losing, if you are first, if you are the last, they are always here.
Perder significa que está ahí y como sobrevive gana.
500 fans went to Toledo.
Right.
500 fans went to Albacete.
Right.
That's a long way away
Yes.
for a 3rd division.
Right.
On the tiny island where no one thinks they even exist.
Es, digamos, una religión en sí mismo.
My hometown club Cardiff turned red. My Spanish friend came to visit me and sat with me. I said, I hate it here. I'm looking at a red team. He said, I'll take you to see Real Mallorca. Real Mallorca's blinking red. I said, I'm not going to go and see some red club. Don't worry, he said, there's another club on the island, a small club. He said, but they're passionate, but I've never been there, and they hate Real Mallorca. I said, that's the club for me. When you support your local club like they do and turn up week in, week out, and never see a club win for months, that's real passion.
2 years ago I arrived here and I feel like if I was playing here 20 years because it's, how do you say, it's like a family.
Atletico Baleares, they're a big club in a little lower league.
And so with one side playing on Tuesday and Wednesday nights in Europe, and the other playing at midday on weekends, having to travel by boat to islands so small they didn't even have airports, the idea of either side facing each other was laughable to both sets of fans.
Someone told me, you know, there's another team called Atlético Baleares, and I was like, oh, okay, good for them.
All of which was very much a shame, at least for football in this city, because despite what both sets of fans have told us,
Baleares. What do you talk about Baleares? Who is Baleares?
history and evidence and in their emotions proved otherwise.
When I was 5 years old, I started to play football with Real Mallorca. I was there 14 years. In 14 years, they kicked me 3 times and they signed me 3 times.
En casa tenemos una multa enmarcada, una multa de, no sé si son 1.500 pesetas, que le pusieron a mi padre por enseñar el culo en el campo del Baleares. Y esa multa la tenemos enmarcada en un cuadro en casa. Lo que tendría que ser algo malo para la familia es un orgullo.
Which year? ¿Qué año?
78 creo, 77, algo así.
That's one of the best derby stories ever. But then the hard times, they returned to Real Mallorca, and that red and black star started falling hard.
Last 2 years, they started losing games.
But since then, it's been horrible.
It's Sunday, you get back home, feeling really bad. It never happened to me.
First, there were the financial problems.
Bancarrota.
Then relegation to the second division.
It was terrible.
Losing.
And then last year, they were relegated to the third division, otherwise known as Segunda B.
I went with my wife.
A la miseria.
Inside the stadium.
Por favor, Dios mío, que vuelvan los tiempos buenos.
Until 4 o'clock in the night. Only 2 people. Everybody else, my wife and I, cry.
Sufrimiento más grande que hemos tenido.
Have you had sympathy for them because they fellow Mallorcans?
No.
Pero ellos siempre han celebrado nuestras derrotas.
More because the Baleares fans feel they're the forgotten club.
Por un año que el Mallorca jugó contra el Albacete y no subió a primera y subió el Albacete, en la autopista pusieron gracias Albacete, thank you Albacete. ¡Hombre!
En el campo de Mallorca se oían cánticos en contra del Baleares. O sea, había 4 categorías de diferencia y se acordaban de nosotros.
I'm happy when they go down.
You happy?
Yeah, of course. So how I have to leave the club, it was hard for me, and yeah, for that I cannot forget. Yes, the players have feelings.
In fact, things got so bad that late last year, as they were going down, Baleares almost jumped them.
They are like a cheat, and if they go up and we go down.
No. If that happened, I get my bags, I put everything, and I go to live somewhere else, and because I don't want to be here.
Why would it be so bad?
Because we've been laughing all our years of them.
And if Atletico Baleares, if they'd have been promoted, because they don't own their ground, Mallorca, the law says whoever's the biggest club in the island has that stadium.
So if they go to second division and we go to third division, they've got the rights to
take your stadium.
Yeah,
Can you imagine the humiliation?
Yeah. They would have lost their home to Atletico Baleares if they wanted to.
But they would have to pay 5 million
yeah,
euros
they have to pay, but they would pay. They would pay.
And so, 37 years, 1 Copa del Rey title, multiple ownership changes, a relegation to the 5th division, a couple of European adventures, 2 stadium relocations later, it would be in the 2017-2018 Segunda B, Spain's 3rd division, that would host the resurfacing of one of Spain's most heated but unknown rivalries.
Never seen Mallorca so low. But when we knew that Baleares was staying in 2nd Division B, it was like, it was a positive sign. And I was happy about that, because I've never seen a derby.
This is my first derby, I'm 36 years old. I don't know what to expect. It's something good in
this, spicy
in this hell.
In this season.
In this hell that we're living right now.
Oh, and if you think there's some kind of regional brotherhood from being Balearic or Mallorcan, like we've seen in Galicia, nah, you'd be sorely mistaken.
Que si hay respeto entre los equipos o entre los ciudadanos.
No. Mallorca tiene su himno, nosotros tenemos nuestro himno y el hermanamiento que nos une.
They say they're the loyal fans. What do you say?
I understand you, but I don't listen.
Baleares and Mallorca, they have this
rivalry.
Yeah, but I have more.
Baleares, but they also support either Barca or Madrid. And most of the real Mallorca fans, we only support Mallorca.
Baleares fans are not interested in Barcelona, they're not interested in Real Madrid. That's what I like about it. They support their local club.
The dress is very bad. Blue, white, I like red. Like the blood, you know, what we have. We have red blood, and that's what we want.
Mallorca is for the glorientes.
No es porque queramos ganar, es porque Mallorca representa la isla.
Bueno, supongo que son maneras de ver la vida muy diferentes.
Now the first derby of this season has actually already been played at Baleares' home ground, and from what we heard in and around the ground, the relaxed island mentality of Mallorca was nowhere to be found.
I will be honest, I was shocked.
Antes del partido hubo incidentes en el bar.
Sin ningún miramiento empezaron a tirar botellas y sillas.
Tiraron huevos al autocar del Mallorca.
Allí en el estadio era criminal.
Birds of the ground, and the whole ground was singing. Not every man and his dog was singing.
But with Atletico Baleares' home ground only holding about 2,500, it's actually the return leg here at Real Mallorca's 25,000-seat San Mos Stadium that many consider the true return of the Mallorca derby.
The beginning of the season derby doesn't count. That is a very small peak. This is the first and last derby in 40 years.
Derby days, Mallorca has begun. Not only is this probably, I think it definitely is the first ever 3rd division derby we've ever covered. It's also the first derby where we've had to wake up at about 6:30 in the morning. The ultras have rocked up, we've been told, 8 a.m. at the pub just to be there.
Ya estaba histórico perdido.
Oye, muy emocionante, muy emocionante.
There's obviously home fans for this derby as well, and their ultras have brought along their friends in ultras groups from Cologne, Bulgaria, and all around Europe. It's only 3k right up the road. Here's the stadium now. Team buses have rocked up. Baleares, the first. First derby live for most of these fans, the first derby in this stadium, and possibly the last for another 4 decades.
It's like our little brother, they're trying to punch us, and I'm like, get out of here, we don't care about them.
What if they get you one in the nuts though?
If they
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Holy shit. We said it once, said it a million times. Forget common sense. Forget logic. Derbies do not make sense when it comes to the scoreboard.
It will be funny. It will be funny.
I don't think you'll be laughing.
No, I won't be laughing. It's not at the same level. So we're gonna beat them, and then we're gonna go back to second division, and in some years we're gonna go back to first division.
Oh, here we go. What a start. Oh! You're gonna tell me that I can't? The confidence come back.
Football sometimes is crazy.
The big defense.
Sometimes hurt you.
20 minutes to go. Corner Baleares.
But sometimes you love football.
Go! 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 It's 2-2!
Y no pueden contigo, y no desapareces.
The little guys are back again!
Lo intentan matar, no lo matan.
This is a mad derby! Oh, here come Mallorca! No way! No way! Next time on Derby Days. The biggest match in Australia, actually Spain this season, let's be honest. Holy shit! The fact these guys have waited, what, 14 years for this, and now we're down to a couple of hours.